making your web pages device agnostic?
Yes.
So that they could be easily served up to various device types.
Sure.
So what's the best way to do that technically?
The best way to do that technically is what's called responsive design, which means building a website from the ground up with the newest technology that's out there that facilitates a website displaying properly across all devices. And there's a whole back end to that, but just if you're talking to a web design person about building a site for you, the term responsive design to them should indicate that you want just that.
So really you need to start from scratch.
If you have an existing website that has not been built in the last 6 to 12 months, you're effectively starting from scratch, that's correct. But the Band-Aid approach, if you're not prepared to dive into a complete redesign, is to build a mobile-friendly version of your site so that at least if somebody searches for you on a mobile device, that they will see something that looks okay.
As a transition measure.
Correct, exactly. All the way in the back?
Could you say a few words about how or where apps fall into this?
Yeah, I actually had that and I forgot to mention that. Sorry, thank you. What's the difference between an app and a website? Why are there apps? Apple will not allow you to put into their app store a replica of your website because your website is not an app. So an app is something that's different. So for example, we have a client that's in the business-to-business gold and silver refining field. So their target audience are dentists and other clients that end up with scrap metal of one sort or another that needs to then be melted and sold, essentially. And we developed an app for them that is a currency converter. And so you can get a sense of what your scrap pile of whatever your metal is might be. An app should have a specific purpose, like alumni for Franklin, who would go to it for a very specific subset of information. A website is covering a whole bunch of stuff. An app is much more zeroed into something specific and unique. But if you're going to do an app, today you have to look at creating an Apple version and a Droid version and potentially a Windows version. So the app field has gotten muddier, but that's where things are heading. Other questions?
You showed at the beginning you have clients in a number of different industries. And I want to dig into that a little bit coming from the other side, because when I want to look at developments maybe in a particular industry, I'm looking at several companies in that industry and then looking at their web pages and what they have. The quality varies quite a bit and is not necessarily congruent with what the reputation or the size or the of a particular company is. So I'm wondering from your point of view, when you talk to clients, what kinds of things stick out in your mind as that's a good client, he or she knows what she's doing and I can help, and others just come with a money point of view, because I've seen a number of situations where a company that for other reasons to me strikes me as a well-run, organized company, understand their industry, have really crappy web pages, and other people who are sort of second-rate firms have first-rate pages, and I'm wondering how that looks from your point of view in terms of dealing with customers.
There are a whole host of companies in every industry that get so much business from referrals or from other channels that they look at their websites still as like ancillary and not a main driver of revenue. And those are the companies that tend to not put a whole lot of time and energy into their website. And typically when that changes is when somebody new comes along that's actually good, who has an impressive web presence, who starts taking business away from them. And then it's like this huge wake-up call. So there are definitely companies out there that are highly successful leaders in their industry, but have not felt the need to invest in their website, and I would say they're missing an opportunity. On the other hand, there are companies out there that are poor business operators, but have a really slick-looking website, and that's one of the pitfalls, I guess, of the internet, is that you have a blank slate and you can create the persona and the image to be whatever you want it to be. So companies need to do a very good job at looking at who their competitors are. One of the things that you can do within Google AdWords, which is Google's search tool, marketing tool, is that you can advertise on competitor keywords. So if somebody's putting in Sony television and you're LG, you can advertise so that you show up when somebody types in Sony television as a search query. So you need to be very sensitive to that kind of stuff because you can end up handing your competitors business whether they're a credible company or not. There's no magic answer other than you have to do your homework on who you're talking to, and there are, pitfalls all along the way.
Hi, I'm Carolyn and this is Mashta.
Hi.
We're taking a class this semester where we have to make a website,
Okay.
and the exam is that we have to actually make a new one of Franklin.
Okay.
And so we're wondering what you think about Wikipedia style, because that's very few clicks.
I'm sorry, what I think,
Wikipedia style.
meaning just sort of a flat website?
No, just so that you only have one click.
I think the fewer the clicks, the better, but I think that the more you're able to integrate video and testimonials and stuff like that, the more compelling the website will be. So we want to bring in interactivity to as large a degree as possible. We want to get to information as quickly as we can. We want to give people multiple ways to reach out and say, I'm interested. And we want to make sure that information, speaking of Franklin, that is unique to what makes Franklin special is really easy for somebody to find.
More questions?
One thing I would first say about remarketing, that I was talking to the marketing director for one of the grad school registries, either gradschool.com or Master Studies or one of those, who complimented us and said we must have a huge advertising budget, because this guy who spends his whole day looking at grad school websites said that our ads were those which popped up the most frequently. Well, that was thanks to MoreVisibility, where we probably have the smallest budget of any of his clients, but they did a very good job. My question is, though, in the search engine world, is it not somewhat fragmented? I mean, I'm talking about the entire world. Because in places like China and Brazil, that Google and Yahoo aren't necessarily the default search engines.
Yes, so if you're a global advertiser, you need to be very tuned in to the search engines that are the main ones in whatever country you're in. So Google's sort of like the gorilla in the room, but every country has their own search engines, and if you're marketing in different countries or parts of the world, you need to understand what those are and understand the rules and the criteria of each of those engines and follow a best practices protocol in order to gain success there. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all very, very much. See everybody in 5 more years.
Yeah. Thank you.